thank you for joining us today. It's turned out these have been quite informal, but informational for everybody. And I've really enjoyed it. Some of the feedback we've gotten after these have been great, and it's growing, and it's great we can get the information out to you guys this way. So before I get started into what I'm going to talk about, I'd like to start introducing people. And our chairman of our advancement committee is Abby. Go ahead.
Hello, this is I'm the outgoing chairman of the advancement, and it's been a pleasure to be serving the Verdugo Hills Scouts, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have today.
And why don't you introduce your fellow advancement members that are here today?
Yes, we have Don Tyndall, mostly in charge of Eagle Scout applications and training and so on. We have Scott Radler. He's the incoming advancement committee chair. And let's see, who else do I have today? That's it from the advancement committee for today.
All right. And next we're going to jump over to the training committee. Craig. Craig, you on?
Craig froze in the middle of waving.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Well.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. From the training committee, we have Jim Sensenbach. He's our Tongva District Training Chair. We have Kelly Nasiri and Les Hunter joining us from the training committee today.
All right. And from our Jamboree, Joe, I see we have a couple Jamboree leaders.
Yep. Hi, here representing the Jamboree today, along with Robert Augenstein, I see, and I believe and Craig Harris. So there's three of us here today from the Jamboree trip. Ellie and Luis Ortiz and Hovik Shohanian are also part of the team as well.
And then from the Order of the Arrow, Steve.
Yeah, I am Steve Barrow. I'm Service Vice Chief, Service Advisor for Spelei Lodge, Order of the Arrow. And I think the only other member that's on right now that I saw was Joe Wilkie, who is our membership vice, our membership advisor.
And then tuning in a little bit late, we have from the training committee, Pierre Landry. So thank you for joining us, Pierre. So I want to go briefly over. So I just want to go briefly over our camp issues. We sent out a notice yesterday that our camps have basically been canceled for the rest of the summer. It's very disappointing. I was actually planning on spending my entire summer at camp, and my wife was looking forward to having me out of the house for the summer. But we have decided to go ahead and cancel. We are waiting on information from the Los Angeles County on what their criteria is going to be for youth organized camps. We've been meeting with the National BSA. We've been meeting with the American Camping Association, and we've been online with the CDC on all the rules and regulations. Now we're just waiting on what LA County is going to end up giving us for regulations. So not knowing that, we had to go ahead and cancel our camps. We're not going to be doing Rocket Academy this year, Extreme Merit Badge Weekend, Cub Scout Resident Camp, Cub Scout Day Camp, and a real disappointment is our film camp we were going to do at Camp Verdugo Oaks that we had to cancel. It was the first year for that. And then we also had an aquatics camp lined up we were going to do this summer. All that'll be back next summer. But in the positive thing out of that is that we will be doing a cyber day camp down on the farm. And I'm very excited about that. And then we're also going to be doing a cyber film camp. And that's going to be really exciting. We'll be able to get professionals from different areas of the entertainment industry to join us for that cyber film camp. And in fact, why don't we go to Peter Bassler, who's our camp director for the film camp, and he can fill you in a little bit about it. Peter?
Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
And I should be back on. Hello there. So our cyber film camp, which is going to be celebrating the art of storytelling, is going to happen July 19th to 24th, on Monday to Friday. That was the week that we were going to be holding the in-camp film camp when we would be at Verdugo Oaks. Then we will have until the 27th, which is the Monday, for all of our scouts who are working to complete and submit their projects. And we are going to get together to celebrate and watch all of the films, stills, and animation that have been created by our scouts on the first Verdugo Hills Council all-day film festival, which will be held on August 2nd, which is a Sunday. And we'll have more details on that as we get closer. Scouts can work on movie making, photography, and animation merit badges during the camp. As Mr. Potter said, we're going to take advantage of being here in Burbank in Southern California and have professionals from all different parts of the industry zoom in to be part of the program. Cost for the camp will be $70 if you pick up your camp in a box at the council office. There's an additional $10 charge if you'd like it shipped to you. And we ask that all participating scouts should have a cell phone with a camera feature as part of the participation. And that's the current information on Cyber Film Camp. More information to come. The committee is meeting. And thank you to all the committee members who are on the call today. We're putting together a really cool cyber camp.
All right. So we could, where's my, all right. So for our Cub Day Camp, which is going to be down on the farm, is the theme. We have Scott Wadler, who's going to be our camp director for that. And if Scott, if you could go in and fill us in on some exciting things that are going to be happening there.
Absolutely. So we're excited to have our first Cyber Cub Scout Day Camp. It'll be July 13th through 17th. We will be doing arts and crafts, scout crafts, songs, skits. We plan to have guest presenters or other special events each day for the 5 days. We will also have a box full of arts and crafts and rope for tying knots and such that can be picked up at the office or delivered. We'll be charging $60 and an additional $15 if you need the box shipped. We're planning some exciting stuff with our theme of Down on the Farm. And then we're also going to offer a day in the future whenever we're able to get back to CVO to have all the Cubs who sign up to come up and do the shooting sports and spend some time in the pool and meet their den mates, and we'll find some other fun activities to do whenever we're able to get back together at camp. So we should be posting registration for that soon. Have several folks helping to plan a great program for our first Cyber Cub Scout Day Camp.
All right, so okay, so it's going to be pretty exciting. They mentioned these camp in a box items, and for the Cub Day Camp, everything you're going to need for every craft that's going to be done at Cub Day Camp, all the parts you're going to need will be in this box. It'll whether it's crayons or markers or paper, scissors. We're going to do some planting, so there'll be a little bit of planting soil and seeds. So everything you're going to need to participate in Cub Day Camp will be in your box for Camp in a Box, as we call it. And then the same thing for the cyber film camp. We'll have a box of what the items you'll need. The only thing we will not include is the camera, and a phone with a camera in it. As much as we'd love to give everybody an iPhone or something, that would be a little bit impractical at the time. But almost everybody now has a phone with camera capabilities. It's very exciting what's being developed. Everybody's working really hard to make this a really true experience, and that it's not a school experience. We don't want lecturing. We don't want everybody sitting around like they're in the school thing. There's going to be time to learn. There's going to be time to do your projects. There'll be time to mix in with everybody on Zoom, and it's going to be really fun and exciting, and a great experiment for all of us. So we look forward to it. Those people who have paid for the various camps that have been canceled, you have several ways of getting a refund. One of them, you can use the money, leave it in, and it will go through to a activity in the future in the Verdugo Hills Council. The great thing is, if you keep it in and you want to come to Rocket Academy in 2021, you'll be paying the 2020 price versus the 2021 price. So if you want to use your money that way, or for any other activity the council is throwing, that money can be refunded that way. We can also put it towards the cyber camps. If you were already registered to go to the day camp, and that I believe was originally 130, we can put 60 of that towards your cyber day camp, and the rest can be refunded. Same with the film camp if you wanted to do that. And then, of course, if you're interested, we would also, if you'd like to make your fees, switch them into a donation to the Friends of Scouting for the council. And if you were to do that, we'd be happy to take care of that. And then that would actually, as a Friend of Scouting donation, be very helpful to the council. And then last, of course, if you would like a full refund, that is also easily available with no problem. So we want to make sure everybody gets the most out of everything and really enjoy our camps. So one of the feedbacks we got from our previous Scout Saturdays was people want to know a little bit about training. So if we could talk, go ahead and take it over to Craig Harris, our training chair, who's going to give us some information about training.
Hello. So everyone who's got a job in scouting usually has someone that taught them how to do it and has provided a great example. But one of the things that we want to add to that in training is the BSA way. And it's very simple to do. Let me just run you through a couple of steps and you can add it. I'm going to share this. So there are 3 steps to being a trained leader. You need to set up an online account at my.scouting.org, which is easy to do. And then you take your youth protection training, and then you take the training for your specific leadership positions. Very easy to do. So my.scouting, the login page looks like this. You can either create an account on the left, or you can log in using your username and password if you've already got that set up. If you don't, it's easy to do. You just fill out a form like this. And it takes you to this landing page. Right up here where it says menu at the top, you click that and you can check your profile. Make sure it has your BSA member ID so you get credit for it. And then you click it again and you can go to My Training. And it takes you to a page like this. You can do your youth protection training here, or you can click on the training center and you can do training for your position there. It's very easy to do. And then you get this handy patch, because we like to reward any experience in scouting with a patch, so you can easily get a trained scouting patch. Let's see, Jim Sensenbach, did you want to talk about youth protection training?
Yeah, I did. There is, we're coming up on the time when everybody first learned that they had to have youth protection to be registered. And so we expect a lot of people to be renewing their youth protection in the next 2 or 3 months. So get a head start on it. The other thing is that I'm going to be sending reminders to the unit leaders as to people who are going to, whose youth protection training is going to expire in the next few months, so that they can be ahead of that. And there are a few that are expired already. We are also talking about restarting up something we call Heart of the Month Youth Protection Training. This is something that we always put on the 15th of the month. The hours vary depending upon whether it's a weekend day or a weekday, in which we will have trainers available to present the youth protection training. It's no savings in time. Takes about the same amount of time. And we will let you know more about that when we figure it out. Thank you, Craig.
Great. And Kelly, did you want to talk about Baloo?
There you go. I'm unmuted and you can see me. So the exciting part about Baloo is you get to stay in this beautiful camp, Camp Verdugo Oaks, for a day and a night. And then part of the next day, October 17th and 18th are the next days for Baloo. And Baloo is specifically geared to Cub Scouts. Every pack needs a trained Baloo leader to help plan outdoor overnight activities for the pack, and it is so much fun. We have a great time, great food. Again, the dates are October, let me just double check, 17th and 18th, I believe. Yes, October 17th and 18th. Okay, so it's always great to have more than one Baloo trained leader. I was talking to a pack chairman the other day. There's bridged out with their Weeblos, and so now they're without. So it's really a lot of fun. Like I said, you get to spend time at Camp Verdugo Oaks. We teach you everything you need to know, from knot tying to knife sharpening to all sorts of cool stuff, how to cook outside. And then we have the most amazing campfire to end the evening with. And you go home on Sunday after a little more learning with so much knowledge and ready to have fun with your Cub Scouts and take them outdoors, where we all wish we could be right now. That's why my backdrop is camp, and kind of wish I was there. So I would love to see everybody at Baloo. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll throw my contact information up in the chat box in just a second. Okay.
And Pierre, did you want to talk about Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills for the Boy Scouts? Scouts BSA?
I would love to. There we go. We hold Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills on the same weekend as Baloo training. Basic Adult Leader Outdoor Orientation is for Cub Scout leaders. The Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills is for Boy Scout leaders and, Scouts BSA and venturing leaders that have an outdoor program. Basically, it's the outdoor skills that we would like the Scouts to learn. We're teaching the adults and giving you hands-on instruction, not only how to do the skill, but how to teach the skill. We go a little bit longer than Baloo. We start at the same time on Saturday morning, and we do a couple of things like the campfire program, teaching you how to teach Scouts how to run a campfire program, what's appropriate and so forth. The interfaith worship service on Sunday morning. There's map and compass. There's a nature hike for plant and animal identification. So at the end of the weekend, you should have a good introduction to the information that you were trying to convey to the Scouts.
All right, thank you.
And Craig, if you could let us know, why we talk about training and why should you get trained? What's the whole purpose?
Well, we want to make sure we're providing a good program for our youth. And so every youth deserves a trained leader. And we want to make sure we're giving a quality program, and training helps ensure that.
And I'll tell you, I've been to many camps across the country, and you can immediately tell the units that have trained leaders and the units that don't have trained leaders, and the scouts are what the scouts are getting out of the program, and the mass chaos without the trained leaders. So training is really important. Does anybody have any questions that they have? Oh, let's jump over to Jim there. He has something.
Sure. The whole point of the training, it's all set up just to show you how to do your job. And that's what it's about. It's nothing great, and it's done in sections. The first part is just, I got a new job. What do I do first? And then there's another set of training modules that take you through the next month or two. And then there's another set of training modules that just make you an expert in the job. And that's all it is. It's all online with the exception of the training that requires actual hands-on experience. Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills and Baloo are the two that come to the top of my mind. But most of the rest of them are up there. So anyway, it's not a great big deal, but you know, you spend some time and then you know how to do your job, you're an expert. Thanks.
All right, so if you guys have questions out there for our training team, if you have them right now, we can answer some right now. If not, you can always do it in the chat box, and we'll be glad to answer them. So if there's anybody in the group that has a specific question right now that's really on the burning edge here that they'd like to know about, if let us know, and Pete could turn you on there. All right, if we have no questions.
Debbie, did you have a question? Is that why you turned your video on? Oh,
No,
okay.
am I not supposed to?
Oh, no, yeah, sorry.
I didn't know. I just came in.
We have a question about how long does the IOLS
Yes.
training take?
How long does the IOLS take?
Yes.
We start at 8:30 on Saturday morning, and it goes till 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. It's jam-packed. We'll keep you busy. And I had one participant say at the end of the course, "You did not waste my time," which is our goal. Kelly talks about how much fun it is, and it is an enjoyable experience. I will tell you, though, that it's a rich experience, too, learning all those skills. Jim talked about how this is how we help leaders learn what their job is. We also want to teach you what your job is not, how to get other people to help you do some of these things, how to recruit experts in. If you don't know a lot about high-tech backpacking, find somebody who is and bring those in and let them teach the scouts, learn along with the scouts. Many of the people I notice on the line today are trained leaders already. Your job is to make sure that the other leaders in your units, your packs and your troops, get the basic training too. So they're providing the program that the parents bring the scouts for. This is not a camping club. It's not a cloth patch collecting society. It's a scouting program where we're trying to teach leadership by giving them opportunities to do this in the great classroom in the outdoors and also in the church basement as they run meetings. So make sure that you're running the scout program the way that it's designed at all levels.
Steve, one of our leaders asked if we get information about what the OA is, what the Order of the Arrow is.
Yes, I saw that, and we'll get to that as soon as we make sure that we're good in training here.
Got it.
One other thing about IOLS, Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills, and Baloo, Basic Adult Leader Outdoor Orientation, is I love it. It's a weekend without the young people. We have a terrific time learning from each other. You go back, as Pierre said, with so much information. It's really a fun weekend of learning. So we look forward to it. Did you have something you want to add to that, Kelly? Or
Yes, I did. I just want to clarify that Pete said Baloo was required for outdoor activities for Cub Scouts. That's incorrect. It's for overnight treks for Cub Scouts. That's what it's designed for, is to give you the knowledge of how to choose a campsite that's appropriate for Cub Scouts. And I'll put it out there that, like, I forget who it was who said it earlier, you're learning the Scout way of doing it. I've been camping my whole life, already knew the skills, but I needed to know how BSA wants us to do it. And coming together with a whole group of leaders that have those same kind of questions, but maybe have some of the skills, maybe don't have any of the skills. It's a really exciting time to see the ability levels of everybody, and how at the end we're kind of all evened out and we all have that same content information and ready to provide an amazing program for our Cub Scouts. Because in my opinion, if we don't get those youth, the youngest members of our organization, hooked on the outdoors and comfortable being outdoors with the bugs and the snakes and the things and the bobcat that I saw the other day at camp, if we can't get them comfortable being out there with that, they're not going to go into scouting. And that's what we want to see them do, is get comfortable with it. So we need our leaders comfortable with it too. So it is specifically for overnight events for Cub Scouts.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
You're saying about bringing in somebody who knows more than you? I appreciate the correction.
Pierre, I don't know if you noticed there was a question about IOLS.
Oh, I see it now. It currently is not required by the BSA to take scouts out. If you are a scoutmaster or an assistant scoutmaster, to be considered trained, it is required. There are many troops that require their scoutmaster and assistant scoutmasters to have that training before they can go on the outings. And the reason is the chartered organization for that unit says, we want to make sure our children are safe, they're getting the program we're signing them up for. And so we want to make sure that the leaders have gone through the training. And someone mentioned earlier, Jim mentioned earlier about the train patch. That is a nice token to indicate that you're done. But it's also a display to the families that you have done your job and getting ready to provide the program that they've brought their children for. So currently it's not required. And I say currently, the BSA has been exploring whether or not to make it a requirement that to go on outings, at least one person has introduction to outdoor leader skills and the Scoutmaster and assistant Scoutmaster leader specific training. Those are important tools to make sure that you're delivering the program.
I had a question about Baloo. Somebody asked, Tracy asked if Baloo is required to be taken before IOLS. And no, it's not a prerequisite for IOLS. Some people who have taken Baloo do go on to take IOLS because they want that scout level information for outing, which is a lot more added to it than what there is for just the Cub Scouts. So it's not required that you take it prior to taking IOLS. If you don't have any camping experience, you'll still get everything that you need in IOLS. So don't think you need that beforehand, okay?
And let me remind
Thank you,
people,
Kelly and Pierre.
yeah, let me remind people that this is basic adult leader outdoor orientation and the introduction to outdoor leader skills. We have a high adventure team that does more extensive training. So if you want to go backpacking for 10 days up at the Dinky Lake Sloop, you shouldn't be doing that as one of your first outings. You need to develop some of your skills and experience, get the boys and the leaders, get the scouts and the leaders experience so that they can go out and be successful in that endeavor. But the introduction part of it is, if you've never tied a knot before or sharpened a knife before, this is a good introduction on how to do that. You won't go away as an expert, but you'll learn a lot of resources and how to do it correctly.
Thank you, Pierre.
Don's got a comment. Don Tyndall?
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to add that
I was going to add that when you are trained, it makes your job so much easier. And in the case of going outdoors, so much safer. So why not make your job easier and safer for the scouts and yourselves? Be trained.
You're lying to him, Don. And the reason I'm joking, but the reason I say that is sometimes it's harder to sit back and let the scouts do it. You teach the scouts how to do it, and then you have to sit on your hands and keep your mouth shut while they try to do it. And it would be so much easier if I was doing it. We'll be done by now, and we'd have eaten dinner already. That's not what we're here for.
Then the scouts don't learn.
Yes, exactly.
It's important that you as a leader are trained to do your job, whatever
Yes.
your job is. And so go get your training, whether you're at Cub Scout level, Scouts BSA level, venturing level, whatever it is, even in council positions. Get your training that's appropriate for your position and make your job so much easier.
I was reading the biography of the guy who developed the SEAL teams, Richard Marchenko, and he was a cub master. And when you read the chapter on when he was a cub master, he had them out in the bush catching prairie hens and skinning them and eating them. And that's not what we do in Cub Scouts. So this is to teach you, as Kelly said, the appropriate skills for the appropriate level of scouting. And I don't think there's any place in scouting where we're catching prairie hens and skinning them.
Pete, we had
I sure hope not.
Right? Pete, we had a question. Is Baloo live for registration now, that date that we have set?
It isn't, but if we can talk with Alejandra and get that up pretty quick because we've done it before, so it's all ready to go as soon as we get the information in.
That's your answer. I'll get with Alejandra and have her make that go live for us because we did miss holding it this month. We would have done one in the spring. We always do a spring and a fall one. So with that being brought up, if you missed getting the training for Baloo done this spring, and if things change and if you can go out camping before it's offered again, and if you don't have a trained Baloo adult in your pack, contact me and I can put you in contact with somebody who that might be willing to work with your group. Just because they're not a member of your pack doesn't mean that they can't serve as your trained Baloo leader for your activity, okay?
All right. So thank you for our training update. If we're going to go ahead to the Order of the Arrow, one of my favorite subjects, and the Order of the Arrow is the Boy Scouts National Honor Society. And Steve, if you could fill us in on a little bit about the Order of the Arrow.
Scouts BSA National Honor Society.
Sure, be more than glad to. As Dave and Pierre just mentioned, it is Scouting's National Honor Society, and it's kind of like an organization, a Boy Scout organization inside of Scouts. We are one of the main service ends for our council. We do quite a bit of things as far as working with up there at CVO. We do a lot of staffing for other council activities that come up throughout the year, such as Rocket Academy and Haunt-On and the resident camps and so forth, and which unfortunately we're not going to be able to do this year for a while. But that's one of the main focuses that we try and do. Now, to get into the Order of the Arrow is a little bit different than, say, like just joining Boy Scouts, and is the fact that for a scout to get into the Order of the Arrow, they need to be a first-class scout. They need to have had 15 nights of overnight camping in the last 2 years, of which I believe it's 6 evenings or 6 days has to be at a actual regular Boy Scout summer camp. And the thing that's unique about it is the fact that the boys, like I say, cannot just volunteer to get into the Order of the Arrow. They have to be elected by their troop. And to be elected by their troop, we usually end up coming out to the troop meetings and conducting elections for entrance into the Order of the Arrow, which we are more than glad to be able to do once we're able to get back out and physically meet. There's ways that we can possibly do it virtually as well. Some of the things that your youth can really take advantage of with the Order of the Arrow is we have a lot of different types of leadership opportunities that are offered through Order of the Arrow that are not offered through just normal scouting venues. There are additional opportunities as far as things to do in the Order of the Arrow. We every couple of years or so, we have a National Order of the Arrow conference where about 7,000 to 8,000 Order of the Arrow members get together and have kind of like a camporee, jamboree type of a thing. Unfortunately, the one this year, which was supposed to be back in Michigan at Michigan State University in East Lansing, had to be canceled due to the COVID-19. But they have got another one rescheduled. Unfortunately, it's not next year because next year is going to kind of interfere with Jamboree. It's going to be in 2022. And there are, like I say, other training opportunities. There are other opportunities as well for the boys to go and to get certain camping experiences that aren't normally offered, such as Philmont Trail Crew, discounts to Northern Tier, to Summit, and so forth and so on. So it's a really good opportunity for you boys, and we do our best not to take the boys away from the troop. A lot of times people think that joining into the Order of the Arrow that they're going to be taken away from their troop, and that's not the case, because the Order of the Arrow always considers the troops first and the OA second. So it's just an overall good opportunity for your youth to be able to get into a little bit more of a secondary program within scouting. And of course, adults are also available to get into the Order of the Arrow as well, simply by filling out or doing the same camping requirements, and then being recommended by your troop committee chair as a good candidate. And we're always looking for adult leadership as well. So I think that's about it. Did I miss anything, Dave?
No, and the key to the Order of the Arrow is that they're training, additional training for your leaders in your troop. They go to extra training classes that are provided by the OA, and the purpose is to bring those skills back and serve in the troop. It's an exciting program. I'm in the OA. I've been in the OA since I was, well, 15 or 16, a long time ago, but it's been always a great experience. There were a number of questions that just came in about the OA. Females are yes, 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 yes. They're now a part of the Order of the Arrow. We expect any day now to be electing some females from our council. It's the same requirements as the boys, be a first class, same camping requirements, and be elected. And nationwide, you're starting to see young ladies in the Order of the Arrow. Adult females have been in for a long time. And again, as Steve was saying, adults are recommended by their troop committee, and they do have to have their camping days and nights in there. I did also see another question there about the number of members of the OA a troop can have. There is no specific number of OA members that are allowed in your troop. As long as they're elected through the process and go through the ordeal and become members, you can have a whole troop of OA members if it works out that way. Again, if you have 15 young people that are qualified and for the election, and the troop feels they deserve it, all 15 could be elected. If the troop at the election feel only five of them are of the quality for the OA, then they elect 5, but it's up to the troop. It's one of the few organizations in the world where you become a member and you're elected in by non-members of a group, you know, so it's very exciting. There's so many opportunities for young people, and it's especially good to try to, as your scouts get older, to keep them interested in scouting, because it's extra activities and things like that. So I highly recommend the Order of the Arrow and the events that they can come to. Very exciting stuff. Is there any other questions on the Order of the Arrow right now? And not to say that at the end of the program, if you have questions, we can answer too.
You had one, what is the current status of the ordeals? And I believe it's called induction ceremony now versus ordeal, correct?
Oh, well, yeah, we were scheduled to have an ordeal in June. However, with the camp now going to be officially closed throughout the summer, it has tentatively been rescheduled for November 13th through the 15th, which would be our normal dates for our fall ordeal.
And for those young people that have been elected, who normally would have 1 year, 2 ordeals or 2 inductions, as they're now calling it, to participate in the Order of the Arrow, their time will be extended since there was no spring induction, that they will be able to either come to the fall induction or the spring induction again.
Absolutely.
All right, so if we have no other questions specifically on the Order of the Arrow, we will be moving on to, I'm sorry.
Could you just mention Gavin Cho and his position and the fact that he's from our council and
yes,
an honor that's been?
Surely.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I should have mentioned that, and I neglected to, and I'm sorry. We actually have a national officer in our lodge, Spili Lodge. Gavin Cho is elected to be the Western Region Chief for Spili Lodge, and it's a great honor because there are, if I'm not mistaken, I think there are only a total altogether of, it's either 6 or 7 national officers, and Verdugo Hills Council actually has one. And so it's something we should all be very proud of. And if you happen to know Gavin and run across him at all, be sure and congratulate him.
Yes, it's a great honor for our council to have Gavin as the Western Region Chief. He oversees the entire Western region. If you do not know, the Boy Scouts of America as nationally consists of 4 regions, and Western region being one of them. So there's only 4 region chiefs in the country, and it's a great honor. And the young man, Gavin, is an incredible young man. In fact, moments before we started this meeting, I was actually on a Facebook with him. Just a great young man, and a great product of our council. And I believe it was Troop 209, and he came up through the ranks, and it's very exciting and opportunities for him. All right, so moving on, and again, there'll be question time at the end too for everybody. But let's move over to advancement. And there's a couple of things we want to talk about in advancement. So if we could get Abby and Don up on Scott, and then Scott too.
Okay,
there we go.
Yeah, can everyone hear me and see me?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay, so basically advancement takes care of several things within the scouting program. One of them being extensions. We do take care of that. And we try to come up with opportunities for advancement, such as the Extreme Merit Badge Mania Camp in the spring, and Merit Badge Mania in the summer, the one-day Merit Badge Mania. And we also put together the Eagle Scout Recognition Dinner and the Volunteer Recognition Dinner once a year. Well, unfortunately, the spring the Extreme Merit Badge Mania obviously got so postponed that it's basically canceled. But in lieu of the Extreme Merit Badge Mania, my colleagues and I, we went over started the process of going over all the 130 merit badges and see which ones could be virtual friendly, and find counselors that can put together a virtual merit badge and for a Zoom, basically coming up in August. We will have that list out as soon as we possibly can, make sure that we have a good program put together, and it'll be up for registration in June. soon as we have everything worked out on that. And we're also, the advancement committee is also in charge of the merit badge counselor list. And we do take that list very seriously. We do, because we are responsible to make for the safety of our scouts and the quality and integrity of the program. So we make sure that each person that signs up for the to be a merit badge counselor, that they are trained in YPT and in merit badge counselor, have gone through the merit badge counselor training, which is a requirement, and also that the merit badge, they have read the book and they're very well versed with all the requirements within that merit badge, and that they have the expertise in the matter, either through vocation or avocation. So we take that list very seriously, and we do meet once a month, and it does take at least 2 people to agree that they are the right person for the job. And so, and then of course they go through the vetting program by our office, and making sure that they are registered and they have gone through the 2 required trainings. So sometimes it does take a while. And then once we make sure all of that is right, and then of course our leaders have access to that. And then we do have someone in charge of the fact that if their YPT is coming up for renewal, then we're totally on top of that. Make sure that whoever is interacting with our scouts, that they are YPT trained. So if there's any questions on what else the advancement does, or anything, I'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Anything else that I need to be covering on that?
Abby, do you want me to talk about counselor applications and the new rules?
Yes, yes. So again, having the quality of the program and integrity of the program in mind, and for our scouts, we wanted to make sure that there was some guidelines. So we proposed a set of guidelines to our board, and our board agreed with us, and we're happy. And all of that listed is on our website. So we were getting the whole spirit of scouting, and also this is backed up by national, that we want all of our scouts to be able to interact with different adults, as far as when they're going up for their to speak to a counselor. If they keep on asking the same counselor to help them with their merit badges, then they don't get that experience of how to interview and speak with an adult, or ask for something, and it's just and to get a multitude of experience from different trained leaders, that makes for a better experience. And so our council now has a limit of how many merit badges one counselor can have at any given certain time. So that limit is now 10. However, we do have quite a few counselors that have more than 10, and they are grandfathered in if they were a counselor already prior to April of 2020. Anyone now wanting, ever since April 2020, if anyone is applying to be a merit badge counselor, if they already have 10, then they could maybe switch out. If something maybe if they wanted to do something new, they can switch out for something there's plenty of merit badges on the list already for, and so on, and we can work with any counselors on that. And all of that is again available on our council website.
Thank you, Abby.
Important
Don, you want
note.
to do a
Sorry, one
Go ahead,
important note I
Scott.
wanted to bring up regarding advancement during this COVID-19 period is for the younger scouts, for tenderfoot, second class, and first class. ESA has modified some of the requirements They can't be done physically. So if for units that have scouts working through those ranks, be sure to check the COVID-19 page at BSA so that we can make sure that kids continue to progress through those earlier ranks in this period when they can't physically get together to fold a tent or I'm sorry, fold a flag or other things like that that are those requirements for those earlier ranks.
Someone had a question about when the list will be available. I will refer that list. We're in a process of having the list going into Scout Book. So Scott or Dave or Pete, any one of you guys want to take that?
We are working on getting the merit badge counselors into Scout Book. Before that, I believe if a unit leader contacts Pete or Amy, they can forward them the most updated merit badge counselor list we have.
And there is a very current list that has just been updated. So if you need to, again, the current way is to check with Amy or Pete at the office. They'll give you the list. And hopefully in the next week or so, the list will then be available through Scout Book for your scouts and your leaders.
I have two questions.
Go ahead.
So
Okay.
the first one is when we read, I got a text from another merit badge counselor in my troop asking, what does a current merit badge counselor need to review when we click the documents? The documents are about how to be a counselor, but if you're already an existing merit badge counselor, is there something that changed that they need to be aware of?
Would you like me to answer that, Abby?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, if you are a current merit badge counselor, then if you're talking about adding a merit badge, then you would just, you go into vhcbsa.org, go to the resource tab, and below that is a merit badge counselor list tab. When you click on that, you'll see merit badge counselor application. So you can complete the application. It is a brand new application. It's got a lot of information on the process, how to, whether you're new, first timer, or existing, and just complete that application. Make sure that you have your current merit badge counselor training. We talked a little bit about how to get on the training earlier. Take the training online, and once this COVID situation is over, I plan on scheduling an in-person training at council, if you like that. But make sure you have your YPT current, and then select the merit badge that you want to do and fill out, complete the application and get it into council. It'll come to advancement committee and we'll look it over. If you're new, never been a merit badge counselor, in addition to that, you'll also have to fill out a new BSA adult application. Merit badge counselors are separate from units. Merit badge counselors do not have to be attached to a unit. So they're kind of treated as a separate entity. So you will have to have a brand new BSA adult application. Under the position code, you mark 42 and then merit badge counselor as the name of the position, and complete it as you would any other BSA application that you've done. So that will also be included in there. Some of the merit badges, for instance, all your shooting sports, have special requirements, certain certifications. So make sure whatever merit badge you're picking, if it requires a certain separate certification, include that in with your application. Otherwise, it's just going to delay the process because we are then going to contact you and ask you for that information. If you have any questions, you can always contact the advancement committee and we'll answer any question you possibly have regarding this. Again, Abby mentioned we have the new maximum number of 10, and that is so that your scouts will have the opportunity to pick many different people to communicate with, learn to communicate with a variety of adults outside of their normal little circle. It's going to broaden their horizons tremendously. If they're always working merit badges within their own unit, then they never step outside of that, and they really don't see what life is about later on. If they have to make that phone call to that new person, it opens their eyes, widens their horizons, and gives them a different perspective of what's out there. There's 130, 135 different merit badges. When a scout wants to get Star, Life, or Eagle, it's mandatory that he has some Eagle required merit badges as well as some elective merit badges. So if your scout wants to learn welding, there's a welding merit badge counselor. If he has to do, or she has to do, a required merit badge like first aid, there's first aid merit badge counselors. So that information he gets or she gets from their scoutmaster. Scoutmaster will give them a blue card and give them a merit badge counselor contact information, and then your scout contacts that person and starts the process.
Thank you. I think our question was really if you're already an existing counselor and we're not trying to make any changes or add any badges, is there anything else that current merit badge counselors need to do?
Okay, you'll be contacted once a year just to verify that you're still around and you want to continue being a merit badge counselor. So just please answer the email. If we don't hear from you, and we will give you several emails, you will be dropped from the list. So if, for instance, you noticed on the most recent list that you're not there, it's probably because you did not answer several emails. All you have to do once a year, maybe the first of the year, is send a note to the advancement committee that says, yes, I really truly do want to continue on my merit badges. And that way we'll keep you up and ready to go. And that contact information is on your merit badge counselor application, that site that you, address that you need to go through. So we just want to make sure you're alive and well and you want to continue. All you have to do is shoot us a little email.
By the way, if you want to check if the email we have for you is correct, you can check your profile at my.scouting.org to see if the email listed there is the correct one. You know, if you think you didn't get if you haven't gotten that email and you're wondering why, maybe it's because we have the wrong one. Just check there.
Okay, and then the second question is, I'm a merit badge counselor, and I am working with a couple of scouts who are getting close to turning 18, and they're working on a merit badge that requires them to visit a federal facility, the Citizenship in the Nation, which they can't do right now. So I gave them some suggestions, but I couldn't find anywhere online that says, do you know, or does anybody know if the virtual tours will work at this point to fulfill that requirement?
It's, I'm a Citizenship in the Nation counselor also. There's no mention in the COVID FAQs about doing it virtually for Citizenship in the Nation, but it also says you don't have, it can be something you've already been to. You know, if 2 years ago they went to Washington, D.C. on some school trip, they can pick something from there. Or if last year they were at something, it can be like that. It used to say it had to be while you're currently working on the badge. Now it just says, have you visited, or did you visit, or will you know. So it can be something that they've done in the past and they can report on.
Yeah, this kid apparently has not. So, okay. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, give me a call after the meeting and we can talk about a way to do this.
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
The only other thing I thought of, I mean, technically a post office is a federal building. And so, luckily my husband's a postman. So I'm trying to see if he can at least get this kid a tour of the post office, just to, you know, quick, so that he can say he's done it and look up that. Okay, thank you. Those are our 2 questions. Thanks.
Yes, that does bring up a thought for me, is that when your scouts are starting merit badges and they're in the scouting program, please make sure that merit badges that have time requirements, like we have three-month merit badges, minimum 3 months, they don't start them at 17 and a half. Get those scouts to start these long-term merit badges, are the ones that might be more complicated earlier in their scouting career, because nobody saw COVID coming and it's caused a real hiccup for a lot of scouts. So, you know, unfortunately scouts do get other things on their minds, and they seem to put scouting to the back burner, then all of a sudden they want to become an Eagle Scout and they have to do something that can't be done or is going to be extremely challenging. So as a scout leader, as a parent, try to get all of your scouts to work on those more technical merit badges, perhaps you might want to call them, early on in their scouting career. Get them out of the way so if they just have to get some light duty elective merit badge, it can be done very quickly and easily. They have a lot to pick from. But on the required merit badges, get those things out of the way right away, and they'll be a whole lot easier, especially working with school, homework, after school sports, whatever they're involved in. That way they don't put them aside and totally forget about them.
David?
And I'd like to add, speaking about doing things on timely manner, for extensions, if you have a scout with disabilities, and if it's evident that they won't be able to do certain requirements because of their disability, there are forms, and that's also on our website that can be filled out, but there's a time aspect to it. We also have a Scouts with Disabilities committee that will be happy to help you with any of those questions. And even if you need, we can come into your troop and speak to any parents and be of some resource to the Scoutmaster and the parents of any Scouts with disabilities. Again, those also have some time element to it. So if you have Scouts like that, please reach out to us and we'll help you with that.
And Pierre, you had a comment?
Yes, on the question, I think it was Wendy was asking about virtual visits, do they count? I'm looking at the COVID statement, the FAQ statement from scouting.org, and it says it's important to remember that leaders and merit badge counselors must not make additions or deletions to requirements. The scout is expected to meet the requirements as stated. However, in some cases, virtual visits may fulfill the intent of a requirement. When the requirement's intent cannot be reached virtually, the requirement cannot be completed, and the scout must wait to complete that merit badge requirement. So I'm reading that to say that a virtual visit to a federal facility would be accepted for citizenship in the nation merit badge.
Thank you. I guess I didn't see that part, so I will go back and look at it again. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So if we could jump over and let's
one more
bring
thing,
up,
David, one more thing.
Yes. Okay.
If you didn't see it, it could be that the last time you looked at it, it wasn't up there. So it's one of those things that you need to check back periodically on the FAQs to see if anything has been added. That's all.
Yes, the FAQs are changing almost daily, if not every 2 or 3 days. So yeah, if you have a question, always check with the latest FAQ, which will show up from National if you go to their site. All right, if we could jump over and put Mr. Joe Wilkie online to talk about National Jamboree. Can we have Joe?
His camera is just starting up here, it looks like.
Okay.
There we go.
There he is.
I think his screen.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I had to move locations. Battery was dying. Anyway, Jamboree is coming up in 2021. We're very excited about being able to go back for some scouts. This might be their first chance to go to summer camp, considering summer camp this year may or may not happen. We will be having our first troop meeting coming up on this Thursday at 7 p.m. We will be using Zoom for that meeting. This meeting is open to not only those who have registered already for camp, but also anyone who is interested in coming and learning more about Jamboree. Once we get this moving forward, the Jamboree troops will be meeting like a regular troop once a month. We will have scheduled 4 campouts for the scouts to get to know each other, start forming up in patrols, learning how to camp at a Jamboree, because camping at a Jamboree is quite different than camping with your troop or your patrol. There's some different formats as far as setting up your tents, how to do your cooking, where to get your food and meals, stuff like that. So again, we're very excited about that. If you're all interested in learning more about Jamboree, just kind of want to see what's going on, then please join us this Thursday. So that we can get those questions answered and we can start moving forward. So again, we're very excited about it. I know we've got about 15 or so scouts already signed up. We will be sending back a full troop of both boys and girls. So that is a total of 36 scouts in each unit. So we have plenty of room now for a lot of scouts to come back and join us. And like I said, we're very excited about it. We're looking forward to it, and encourage everybody to come out and check us out on next Thursday night.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
And again, if you haven't been to a jamboree, it's one of the greatest events you can go. I went as a scout in 1973, and then I went again in 2010 as the scoutmaster of our troop. So it's a great opportunity. So now let's jump over to Craig Harris again, who's leading our Philmont trek this year. And so far, Philmont is still on for our trek.
Yes, we are
There he
waiting for
is.
an update from Philmont. Philmont has submitted a plan for operation this summer to the state of New Mexico, and they're waiting for approval for that. So we should find out in the next week or so, but they are hoping to go ahead. And our council has a trek lined up. We're going to hike 67 miles over 12 days. We're going to do some fly fishing at fish camp. We're going to visit a New Mexican homestead. We're going to do some 3D archery, shoot 30-06 rifles, throw some tomahawks. We're going to climb Mount Phillips and the Tooth of Time. We'll take a hunting lodge tour. So we've got a lot of great program in between the hiking that we'll do. Some of the activities will not happen this year. We had a couple of mine tours scheduled, but because of the close proximity, they're going to eliminate that. They're going to eliminate the campfire programs, the opening and closing campfires, but we'll still get a Philmont experience. So Philmont is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. I've been trying to go for several years, so I hope I make it this year. But we do have 4 spots available if anyone's summer camp is canceled. Scouts 14 and above are able to join us on our trek. So please contact me if you're interested.
So yes, if you have a scout who's 14 years older and likes to backpack, this is a great opportunity, especially since we do have some available slots now, and a lot of camps aren't opening. So here would be a great summer time to get out there. They will be practicing social distancing on the trail. It's and again, a great life-changing opportunity to join them. Ford Craig was our trek leader 2 years ago, and he was all set to go, and then the fires hit Philmont in that area, so he couldn't go. So I told him he's going to have to keep being the trek leader till he finally gets the opportunity. So we're hoping he gets to go this time. All right, so we are, that's all our presenters, and we are here for your questions and concerns. We'll be glad to stay as long as you're interested in asking questions. If you need to go, please feel free to go. But this is a great opportunity during everything that's going on to make some historic changes in how we do scouting. Again, and it's not the first time a pandemic has affected the scouting program. The very first National Jamboree back in the early 30s was canceled due to the polio pandemic. And so it was held 2 years later because of that. So the good thing we're learning is to adjust and be ready for anything. And somewhere along the line, I learned in scouting, it said something, be prepared. So we are prepared. We have many opportunities, and please join us for our cyber film camp, our cyber day camp. And hopefully in the fall, we'll be able to have our haunt-on, and we're also going to be looking at some other weekend activities as soon as we get the go-ahead that we can encourage and get people out to camp again. So again, thank you for joining us. And like I said, if you have questions, please feel free to continue to ask them. We're here for you, and this will not be the only time. You can also join us anytime by sending an email or a text and making sure that everything is, you have all the information you need. My email is available, and contact information is on the council website. So please feel free to join us anytime.